Hola! Let me take this opportunity to welcome you back to my YouTube channel. My name is Marion, and in this tutorial, this is what we're going to be learning. I really do love this sweater, mostly because of the texture and the pockets, the sleeves, and just generally everything on it. If you're interested in making this sweater, please stick around because I'm going to take you through all the nitty-gritties, all the tricks and tips of how to go about it. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new here, please take a minute to subscribe to the channel. As I said, my name is Marion and welcome. These are the materials that we are going to be using during this video, this tutorial. I have my pair of scissors, you need that. I have my hooks. I'm using a 3mm for the borders, that is the border on the lower side of the sweater, and also at the wrist area I will be using that 3mm, the ribbing area, you will see that. And then for the rest of the sweater I will be using a 4mm crochet hook. And for my yarn, this is very thin, it's a size 2. I will be doubling this to achieve size 4. So if you have any DK weight, I recommend that you use that. You also need your stitch markers to mark your stitches, and definitely you need your measuring tape to get your measurements. You will need shoulder to shoulder measurements, the length of the sweater, the sleeve length, and at the armhole you definitely need to get that measurement. So without wasting so much time, let's just get right into the video. This sweater is worked in panels, and I already have my first panel over here. For the measurements, we are going to be using that shoulder to shoulder measurement from +1. Mine is definitely 17. It's 16.5 to 17 right there, but I need you to get that measurement and then you add 1. So when I added 1, I got 17. I don't want you to be stretching this sweater because definitely it will stretch on its own. For this measurement, you can do your own. I only added 1 because I want my sweater a little bit fitting, but if you want your sweater baggy, you definitely will add more inches. Maybe you can add 3, 5 or 10, just however you want it. If you want your sweater be a bit baggy or you're making it for somebody else, so you will get that measurement. That is what you're going to be using. And then the length of the sweater is also very important, so let's just get the length for this one, and that is what we'll be using. I want my sweater to be 25 inches long. As you can see, it's just right, 25 inches long. So you get that measurement, and as we construct, we will leave this part out because this is the neck area. We will leave that 1 inch. You see, we will add an inch right here, and also this is just 9 inches wide. I will explain to you when we get to this part how we're leaving this cutout, because it's important for your neck to just sit right when you're constructing this sweater. So without wasting so much time, let's just get into the video and see. You see, this is the part that I told you we will be using a 3mm, because I love this part when it's a little bit tighter than the rest of the sweater. So we'll be using, at this ribbing, we'll be using a 3mm, and then the rest of the sweater, which is a lemon peel stitch, this part we will be using 4mm. So this is single crochet in the back loop only, and this is the lemon peel stitch. So let's start. So once you have your measurements, you will grab your yarn. As I said, I'm doubling my strands to achieve medium weight, but if you have any DK or medium weight, you can use that. Now make a slip knot. This is how I make my slip knot, like that. And we are going to chain 11. So that is the number that we want, 10 plus 1. I want 10 stitches, yeah? So you will yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 because I want 10 stitches plus 1, which will be the turning chain. Now after you have that, we are going to go into the second chain, insert our hook, yarn over and pull through. We have 2 on our hook, yarn over and pull through the 2, and we continue doing that. Yarn over, not yarn over, insert your hook in the next chain, pull through, you have 2, pull through the 2, you have your second stitch. We do that again. Insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, you have 2, yarn over and pull through the 2. Insert the hook in the next, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through the 2. So we're going to do this until the end, and after this you should have 10 stitches or whatever number that you're going for. So I have my 10 stitches, and I'm going to chain 1, turn, and in that very first stitch on the back loop, if you look at your work like this, you will see these V's, and in the back loop, in the back loop, that is where we are going to grab, pull through, you have 2 on your hook, and yarn over, pull through the 2. Also insert in the next back loop, pull through, you have 2, pull through the 2. So we're going to be inserting our hook in the back loop to make the nice ribbing on the lower side of the sweater. So by the end of this row, you should have 10 beautiful stitches. Remember, we are using single crochets in the back loop only. So once you get to the end of the row, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and go into the very first stitch in the back loop, grab that, pull up a loop, and pull through the 2. So we are still doing just as we did for the second row. We'll do this until the end of the row, where we retain the number of stitches, which is 10. Just if you're not sure at this point, keep counting your stitches to make sure you retain the same number of stitches that you started with. If you started with 15, you should be having 15 stitches. I started with 10. I definitely have my 10 stitches. So when you get to the end of the row like that, you will always chain 1 and turn and go into the very first stitch in the back loop and do a single crochet. So I went ahead to complete my band, and this is what you should have at the end of the entire thing. Like get your measurements right and don't stretch it, because we really need those measurements to be just right. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37. I did a total of if you count this ribbed area, they are 37. So if you're doing exactly my size, that is what you do. Now we are at this part, and we are going to clean off the top side of this band, and to do that we are going to chain 1 right here, because we're going in with single crochets. We will chain 1 and now go on top of, we're going to be placing 1 stitch in the valley and a stitch on the ridge. So in short, we are just placing 1 stitch in each and every row, but for reference you can just be placing 1 stitch in this valley and another on top here. 1 stitch I hope you can see. I'm just placing one stitch in each and every row. So this is what you should be having. Yeah. So we are placing a stitch here and a stitch here, a stitch here and a stitch here. And we are still using single crochets to just clean off this edge before we work our lemon peel stitch. So this is what I have after working my row of single crochets. You see how neat my edge is. This is what we were working to achieve, because now it is easier for us to work our next row. And now we are going to change our hooks, because we are now getting into the rest of the panel. I have dropped my 3mm and now I'm grabbing my 4mm going forward. Now, since we have our edge done using those single crochets, now we are going to chain one and turn our work. Now, this very fast, and to work the lemon peel stitch, we'll be alternating between single crochet and double crochet. And now we are going to start our row with a single crochet. So you insert your hook in this very first stitch right here. That is where we will insert our hook, yarn over and pull through. We have 2 on our hook, yarn over and pull through the 2. And then we will yarn over, because the next stitch is going to be a double crochet. Yarn over, insert your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. You have 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. You have 2 now, yarn over, pull through the 2. And since we said we are alternating between single and double, the next stitch is going to be a double crochet. So a single crochet. So you insert your hook in the next stitch like that, yarn over, pull through. You have 2 on your hook, yarn over, pull through. And then we are going to work a double crochet next. And then the next stitch is going to be a single crochet. The next one is going to be a double crochet. The next one is going to be a single. The next is a double. So this is what we're doing. We are alternating between single and double. You can see those short stitches in there are the singles and the longer stitches are the doubles. So you will do all these stitches, just 2 alternatively, single, double, and then I will meet you once I'm done with this row. As you can see, I'm coming towards the end of the row, and my previous stitch is a single crochet. So I'm going in with a double crochet like that, and my row is done. So we started with a single crochet and we are ending the row with a double crochet. And now I'm going to chain one, turn my work. Now, where we had our double crochet previously, we are going to place there a single crochet. And where we had a single crochet, we are going to place there a double crochet. So this next row is going to just do that. Where we have our double crochet, we place a single crochet, and where we had our single crochet, we are going to be placing a double crochet. So be very careful, because I know you did the first row carefully where you are placing single and double following each other. Also, the singles and the doubles are going to follow each other, but on this part, it's going to be on top of the opposite stitch. So if you had a double crochet, you will do a single, and if you had a single crochet, you're going to do a double crochet. So just be very observant and don't skip a stitch. Just know where you have a single, you're going to do a double, and where you have a double, you're going to do a single. So we are going to do that until we get to the end of the second row. You see how this stitch has started to form. So where you have a double, you do a single, and where you had a single, you do a double. We are coming towards the end of the row, and so far we are left with 2 stitches. So I'm going to do a single crochet in here and followed by a double crochet, and definitely this is what you should be having at the moment after working 2 rows of lemon peel. If your work is sitting like this, don't worry, it's supposed to, because we worked using a smaller hook on this part and now we are working using a larger hook on the other part. But definitely this is what your work should be looking like. It is beautiful. The lemon peel stitch is very beautiful, and we are going to see that as we progress with our work. So the next part, the next row, this is what you're going to do. You will chain 1, turn your work, because we had this chain 1 doesn't even count like as a stitch. So this very first stitch is a double crochet. We will go in with a single crochet to counter that, and the next is a single crochet. We will work a double crochet, so followed by a single crochet and followed by like that. So we're working single double, and that is because we had a double single. So we will continue working these rows using this stitch. There's nothing that is changing. You will just be changing the stitches as you go. You see how they are alternating. Where you have a double, you place a single, and where you have a single, you place a double. So you're going to work these rows until you have the length that you require. And remember, I said I'm going to work 25 inches. My work is going to be 25 inches long. So let me go offline and work that. But while I'm off camera, please note we are working with our measurements. So get the measurements that you're working with, and that is what you're going to do. If you're working for a child, definitely the size is going to be smaller. If you're working it for your husband maybe or your boyfriend, definitely the size is going to be bigger because they have larger shoulders. So get your measurements and work with that as we go along. See you once I'm done with this. So I went ahead to complete my 25 rows on this panel, and just for reference, I have done 78 rows of this lemon peel stitch. of course, plus the ribbing, that's giving me a total of 25. But still, remember, as I had showed you on the other panel where we had this part, this cutout, so I'm going to add 1 2 3 rows. You see these 3 rows to give me an inch. So my sweater is going to be 26 inches long. So this doesn't have to be your measurements. You can go ahead, measure yourself and get to know how long you want your sweater to be. But I want to add an inch here to give me 26 inches. And these are 3 rows. So that will give me a total of 81 rows on the lemon peel part. Now, just a little bit of an explanation about this part. Since you already have your measurements, right? So mine is 19, as you can see, and I want this part to be 9 inches, exactly 9 inches. So I will get 19 minus 9, that gives me 10. So this part is going to be 5 inches. So you will get 5 inches and count the number of stitches. The exact number will be transferred to this part also. So do the exact thing. We ought to have the shoulders. The shoulder seam should be equal, and you know, that part of the shoulder should also be equal. So how I came about this number is the average size of a human being head is 22 inches. Yes. So if I get 9 inches plus the 1 inch that will be here, that is 9 plus 1, 10, plus the other one, that is 11. And remember, the other panel is going to mirror this. So I will have a total of 11 inches, 22 inches right here. And my head can pass through confidently. Now, if you're making for your son or your daughter that is younger, definitely this dimension is going to be smaller. Or if you're making for someone who has hair, maybe dreadlocks or something, you need to put that into consideration. Okay, so let's go ahead and transfer this to the other panel. So I'm using the power of stitch markers. I have just counted the number of stitches on the other panel and transferred the information to this. So at the part that I've marked is 20 inches from both sides. So I'm going to work these 3 rows over here, and then I will reattach my yarn over here and do the 3 rows on this part. And then the next time we are meeting, we will join the 2 panels together. So since we're here, we're going to work this part together. You will chain 1, turn your work, and work your first single crochet in this very first stitch. Go into the next with a double crochet, go into the next with a single crochet, go into the next with a double crochet. The next gets a single, a double, a single, a double, and I'm going to work this until I get to this part where I have marked with my blue stitch marker. So I'm coming towards the end of that row. I will place my last double crochet in that stitch where I have marked, chain 1 and turn my work. On the first stitch, I put a single crochet. In the next stitch, I do a double crochet. I'll do this until I get to the end. And now I'm coming towards the very last row. So I have already chained 1. I will go in with a single crochet and continue working until I get to the end. So I'm coming towards the end. I'm left with 2 stitches, and the very last one is a double crochet like that. I will chain 1 and then cut this part completely. So we are going to reattach our yarn over here, so just make a slip knot. I am going to chain 2 and then go into the same stitch with a double crochet, since it had a single crochet. Then go into the next with a double crochet, go into the next with a double, into the next with a single, into the next with a double, into the next with a single. And I like that I'm carrying this yarn along as I conceal it in there, so that I don't have a rough time weaving in ends after this is done. So you will chain 1 once you get to that part, and do the exact same thing that we've been doing on this end, right? So we will come like this and then twice here. So I went ahead to complete this part, and I have chained 1 to mark the end of that row. Now we have 2 identical panels, and the next thing we will do is to do the side seams and the shoulder seams. The next part we are going to create is this beautiful sleeve. And just as the panels we've been doing, we started with the ribbing part, and then we worked our way towards the armhole. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about the measurements. When you're working this sleeve, you need to get your wrist measurements. Mine is 7 inches. That's why this part is exactly 3.5 when half end. Sorry about that. It's 3.5 when half end, so that gives us 7. And remember, this part definitely expands. So when we're starting from this part. Get your wrist measurements, and then we will work like 4 rows of no increases, and then now we will start increasing as we approach our armhole area. Mine is going to be 7 inches, so when I hit that 7 inches, multiply by 2, that gives you 14. When I hit that 14, I won't increase anymore until I get to the armhole. Okay, so when I hit that measurement, I just leave it and continue working the panel as it is. Another thing I need to mention, this is worked without the seam. Like we will just work a panel and then we join it. We join to achieve this seam. So the measurements that you get also includes the length, how long you want your sleeve. Mine is 20 inches, and I love the fitting. I do not want extra fabric because I'm going to be layering this piece with trench coats and other cardigans and stuff, because I live in the coldest part of Kenya, that is Limuru. So when I layer it, it's going to be perfect. But you can work your sleeve to be longer or shorter, just how you want it. Okay, work with your measurements. Mine is absolutely 20 inches. Now, so that's it. Let's get right into it. Remember, this part we were using a 3mm and then we work the rest with a 4mm. So I have grabbed my 3mm. Let's dive right into it. So we are going to make a slip knot and then chain 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The one chain that we just added is the turning chain. So you will go into the second chain and make a single crochet. Continue with single crochets till you get to the end of the row. And once you get at the end, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and go into the back loop to create that ribbing stitch, like that. So we are grabbing the back loop. If you look at the V's on top of your work, we are grabbing that stitch far from you. So this very one, the back loop. And by the end of this row, just make sure you have a total of 10 stitches, just as the first row. Make sure to get that very last stitch, like that. And then you're going to chain 1, turn, and do the same. In the very first stitch, do a back loop, a single crochet in the back loop. Continue working those back loops until you get to the end of the row. Single crochets in the back loop, single crochet in the back loop, like that. So you will work these parts until you have enough rows to cover your wrist. Mine is going to be 7 inches. I went ahead to do a total of 30 rows, and as you can see, this is giving us exactly 7 inches. So get your wrist measurements, and as you do these rows, just make sure it fits your wrist. So the next step that we're going to do is we are going to chain 1 and do a row of single crochets to clean off this part. Okay, so I'm going to go in here with a single crochet, and I'll be going on in each and every row with a single crochet. So this row gets a single crochet, this row right here gets a single crochet, the next row gets a single crochet. It's like we're going in the valley and on at the peak. And we're going to do these single crochets until we get to the end of the row. So when you get to the end of the row, this is what you should be having. And now we're going to work with lemon peel stitch to work the body of that sleeve. To start, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. And in this very first stitch, we are going to place a single crochet. Remember, we are working lemon peel consisting of single crochet followed by a double crochet. The next stitch is going to be a single crochet followed by a double crochet. We work a single crochet followed by a double crochet. Next we work a single crochet followed by a double crochet in the next stitch, like that. We are going to be working this until we get to the end of the row. So I'm coming towards the end of the row, and I will put a single crochet here, and in the very last stitch it's going to get a double crochet. So one thing I have noticed is I did not change my hooks. I've worked this row with a 3mm, and I should have changed when I started working the lemon peel stitch, but it's still okay. We can now change our hooks, but remember you're supposed to change when you're doing this first row of the lemon peel. So we are going to work the second row, and at this point we are yet to start increasing. We shall start increasing on the 5th row. So this first, second, third and fourth are going to maintain the number of stitches that you have started with. So I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and in that first stitch I will do a double crochet, a single crochet, sorry, and then yarn over. In the next stitch do a double crochet, and in the next stitch I will do a single crochet. In the next one we are going to do a double crochet, do a single, and then now we do a double crochet, and continue doing this until we get to the end of the row. So my last stitch is a double crochet. It's going on top of that single crochet, like that. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work and do the same. So for row 3 and 4 we are going to repeat row 2, okay, where we just have single crochets on top of double crochets and double crochets on top of single crochets, alternating until you get to the end of the row. So I will meet you once you have your 4 rows. Now once you complete your 4 rows of that lemon peel stitch, we are now ready to start increasing our work. Since this is a sleeve and the wrist is not the same as the armpit area, we have to increase to attain that measurement at the bicep. So this is what we are going to do. We are going to be increasing at the beginning and at the end of some rows. So if we increase at the 5th row, at the beginning and at the end of the 5th row, we will retain that number on the 6th and 7th, and then on the 8th row we will also increase at the beginning and at the end. So we are increasing after every 2 rows, and then on the 3rd you increase. You retain the number on the next 2 rows, and then on the 3rd you increase. And this is how we are going to be working the increase. You're going to chain 1 as always, and then since this chain 1 does not count as a stitch, we are going to work an increase in this very first stitch. This is the stitch that determines which stitch you will start with at the beginning. Since the second stitch is going to be a double crochet, that means the previous stitch should be a single crochet, and now we have to start with a double crochet. And like always, we'd start with a single crochet and then just go directly into the next stitch with a double crochet. We are going to start here with an increase. So I work the first stitch as the double crochet, and then in the same stitch we are going to work a single crochet, so that as we continue with the pattern, it does not alter anything. We just go into that next stitch with a double crochet and into the next with a single, and then go into the next one with a double. And now we are also going to rely heavily on stitch markers to show us where we have increased. Once you increase, you place your stitch marker right there to show you that this is the part that you have increased, and the next 2 rows are going to be non-increase. So I'm going to continue with the pattern, just 2 double crochet followed by a single crochet, considering the previous row where we have a single crochet, you put a double crochet, and where you have a double crochet, you put a single crochet. Okay, so I'm going to do this until I get to the end of the row, and then just before we complete that very last stitch, we will do an increase in the second last stitch. So let me work this part off camera, and then I'll meet you when we are on the second last stitch. So I'm left with 2 stitches, and in this, on top of this double crochet is where we are going to do our increase. And since this is a double crochet, we are going to go in with a single crochet followed by a double crochet, and then we will complete the row with a single crochet. So when we are increasing, of course, everything goes against all odds, because initially we would have put here a double crochet, but since we have increased in this stitch, now we have to follow the rules of the pattern, where a single crochet precedes a double crochet and a double crochet precedes a single crochet. You know, it depends on how you look at it. Now we will also put here a stitch marker to show that we have also increased on this end. Always mark where you have increased so that we don't get confused. Okay, now we are going to chain 1, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch, so you will yarn over, and since we have a single crochet here, you will put a double crochet, and in the next stitch we have a double crochet, you put a single crochet. In the next stitch you have a single crochet, you put a double crochet. And now we are going to continue with the same pattern until we get to the end of the row. Chain 1, turn, and do the next row without increasing, and then now we will meet on the 3rd row and work another row of increase. So I went ahead to complete 2 rows of non-increase, just retaining the number of stitches that we had attained on this row. And now we are also going to increase, and we will just do the same thing that we did on this row. So we will chain 1, turn our work, and then look at this stitch, not the first but the second stitch. Since it's a double crochet and we need to retain the pattern, we are now going to know that before we get here, it's supposed to be a double crochet, and that dictates that we start our row with a single crochet. So we will start with a single crochet, and then in the same stitch we put a double crochet, and then now continue with the row. We place a single crochet right there and place another. The next stitch we place a double crochet, and then now continue with the pattern as we have always, but remember we need to mark that we have increased here. So we'll remove this stitch marker and place it right here to show that that is where our increase is, and then continue working the row until I get to the second last stitch. That is where we are going to place our next increase. The reason as to why we are increasing at the ends of each and every row is because we have to maintain the shape of the sleeve. If we were to just increase at the beginning of each and every row, or whichever, the row wouldn't, the sleeve wouldn't balance. So we are going to, that is why we are increasing at the ends of each and every increase row. Now let me continue working off camera until I get to that point. So I'm on the second last stitch on the end, and now we are going to place, since we have a single crochet here, we're going to place a double crochet followed by a single crochet, and then the very last stitch is going to be a double crochet, like that. It is only after increasing that you transfer your stitch marker. So remember, we are increasing on this second last stitch and on the first stitch on this end. So I'm going to continue with this pattern where I'm increasing after every 2 rows. So the next 2 are going to be rows of just working this number of stitches that we have attained on this increase row, and then we now increase on the 3rd row. We will do that until we attain the number of inches that we need to attain. For me, I'm targeting 14 inches, so I'm going to increase more rows until I have 14 inches. You could have 16 or 20 or whatever number that you're going for, but just remember to increase after every 2 rows. So see you once I have attained my 14 inches, and then we'll see how we are going to continue from there. So I've been increasing, and right now I'm at the 32nd row. Since I was aiming for 14 inches, 32 rows are giving me exactly what I need, which is 14 inches. So we are going to stop increasing from here. You will only stop increasing and get rid of these stitch markers once you attain your bicep measurements. So I am going to continue working until I achieve 20 inches, the whole sleeve. I am at 11, so I'm going to work 9 more inches until I have 20. So this is what we have at the moment. You see the sleeve has already taken shape, and let me continue working just off camera. So what we are going to do here is just work rows and rows of this lemon peel stitch without increasing until I attain 20 inches. So see you once I'm done with this part. So I went ahead to do a total of 60 rows, and this collectively gave me a total of 20 inches, just as I wanted it to be. You will make this as long as you want it. I just needed mine to be 20 inches. So the remaining part is to join this seam together, and we are going to be using single crochets. So what you will do is you will get the right side. So I'm going to work on the wrong side. Get the right sides together facing, and then we are going to be working on the wrong side. Okay, so we just insert this hook over here, and then pull this loop towards us like this. And now I'm going to be placing a single crochet in each and every row. So we will chain one and then place the first single crochet in this very first row, and we'll continue working these single crochets until we get to the end of the row, or rather to the end of the just try and locate every row and place a single crochet there. It might be difficult to locate these gaps, so I need you to be very careful as you're trying to locate them, because we don't want to miss and get our arm crunched up. We need it as straight as possible. So I'm going to work this part until I get to this end. Now we are done with our panels, and the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to work all the seams, including the shoulder seam right here and the side seam. And once we are done with the seams, we will now attach the sleeves to the sweater. So I need you to grab your stitch markers and mark exactly where that side seam is going to end. And for this, you are going to figure out your armhole measurements. As I had told you earlier, mine is going to be 14 inches. So I'm going to measure from here downwards 7 inches. So that in total will be 14 inches. And then I put a stitch marker also on the other end, and then now we will work the shoulder seam. Once we are done with the shoulder seam, we will cut the yarn and come work the side seams. So this is how we are going to go about it. Just grab your tape measure and measure downwards to attain your desired measurement. Mine is 7, so I'm going to place my stitch marker right here. So for the other side, I'm just going to count the number of stitches, or rather rows, and then ensure that it mirrors, it's exactly the same for the other side, and then place my stitch marker also. So after placing the stitch markers, we will start with the shoulder seam since the yarn is still attached. And what we'll do is we'll just pull this loop towards us like this, and then chain one and start working a single crochet in each and every stitch on that shoulder. So we are going to work one single crochet until we are done with the shoulder seam. And once we are done, we will cut the yarn and work the seam on the other shoulder seam. Now we are working the side seam, and remember we are working this on the wrong side, so just make sure that your right sides are facing and it's the wrong side that you're working on. It's very important. So you will grab your hook, and we're going to start from down here at the hem as we move upwards towards the part where we had marked with our stitch marker. That is where we will stop. So this is what we are going to do. You make a slip knot as always, and then you attach your yarn right here. So we are pulling. I have gone through from one side of the sweater to the next, and then now I'm going to pull this loop that I just made through the two like that, and then tighten. So we'll start by chaining one, and then in the same stitch we will do a single crochet, then go to the next stitch and do a single crochet like that, and then go to the next stitch and do a single crochet. As you can see, I'm carrying my yarn with it. I'm minimizing those hanging threads. So we're just going to work this single crochet in each and every stitch to make that seam, okay? And once we are done with this part, the ribbing part, we will go directly into the lemon peel part, and at that point we'll be placing one single crochet in each and every row. So just be patient, we are about to get there. Just like one stitch, and then we start the lemon peel, and now we are right there after working that stitch. So as we will continue, we'll be placing, I hope you can see, we'll be placing one single crochet in each and every row. So I just placed my first, I will go into the next right here. It's very elaborate, by the way. I'm sure if you're working this, you can actually see the stitches and the spaces where you can place your hook as you do that single crochet. Be sure not to skip any, because we want to arrive at the top when everything is in place. So just continue placing one single crochet in each and every row until we get to the top. Yay! This has been quite a journey, and if you're watching this part, definitely you're making this sweater. I want to appreciate you for choosing this design, for choosing Marion Crochets, and thank you for helping the channel grow. I'm sure I'll be bringing more and more tutorials, and we will get to learn together. I hope you have subscribed. If you haven't, please do and become a member of the channel. So see how neat this stitch is. That is actually what we are going for. I want to continue off camera because I don't want this footage to be so long. I will meet you once I get to this part. So I've come to the end of that part. As you can see, I placed my single crochet in each and every stitch on each and every row, and it's exact, like it just, we arrived here, all of us arrived here, all the panels and everything, and I am so pleased with my work. And now we are going to position the sleeve right here and see how we will fix it. So let me just let me grab my sleeve, and you have to make sure that your sleeve is on the right side. As much as we're working on the wrong side of the sweater, your sleeve ought to be on the right side, and then you will start it inside the panels, in between the panels, so that the right side of the panels and the right side of the sweater are touching. So let me insert my sleeve, and then we'll position it right here together. Okay, now if you used your measurements well, this part should align very, very correctly. Like, there shouldn't be any error. So now we're going to align this, the seam that we just made and the seam from the sleeve. They should be straight, so we can remove this stitch marker and use the same stitch marker to align these seams together, because that is where we want to start our work from. So we put that stitch marker right there, and grab another stitch marker and align the tip of the sleeve and the tip of the shoulder. So we will use that shoulder seam to hold them together like that, to hold them in place. So once you have those two stitch markers in place, now you'll be confident that when you're working this seam, everything is going to be in place. Now just grab your hook and pull this yarn a little bit. We can even remove this stitch marker because we are sure that whatever we are doing right now is accurate. Okay, so I'm going to start by working this part. So what we'll do is we are going to insert our hook from, you see right here, from this seam from the sleeve. That is where we will place our hook. It might be a little bit difficult to work through it, but you should. And then we'll also put it through the seam on the sweater, and then now we will pull this loop towards us like that and tighten it, and then we'll do a single crochet. You see, all the seams are aligning. Then we'll do a single crochet and continue working single crochets all across until we get to the tip of the sweater. Okay, so this is how we are going to go about it. We will get from the stitch on the sweater, on the sleeve, and the stitch on the panel, one of the panels, and then pull through and make a single crochet, and then go to the next stitch and through one of the rows on the sleeve and make a single crochet. Again, be careful not to skip any stitches or any rows. We want to get each and every row here and each and every stitch so that our seam stays intact and neatly done. So this is what you should be having at the moment. I want to continue offline until I get to the tip, and then we will now start going downwards. Just continue holding your work down because this part might be a little bit tedious, but don't give up hope. Just continue working and make sure your work is aligned. Just place one stitch on both sides, okay? So I'm gonna go off camera and work this part. So I worked downwards towards the center of all the seams, and this is where everything is going to be joined together, and I will do that using a yarn needle because it's very difficult for a hook to go through this seam. So once you get to that part, you will just get your yarn needle and work everything neatly here. So this is what I'm going to do. Yes, I will insert my yarn needle on this side and then grab that seam from the sleeve and then grab the seam from the two panels like that. We are trying to conceal this hole right here, and then just work everything. And as you can see, all my seams are very aligned, like very straight seams right here. So just to make sure that everything is neatly done, we are going to use this yarn needle. It comes in very, very handy. And once you are sure that everything is sealed, everything is aligned, you can go ahead and weave in that end and cut your yarn. This is me just making sure that everything is tightly secured. And then I'm going to cut this one. So just to get an overview of the right side, this is how the right side looks like. This is the sleeve, and this is the side seam. So this is what we have at this moment. You see how neatly done it is, and everything is flat, because definitely that is what we should be looking at, the flatness of your work and how neatly done it is. So you will do the same on the other side. Where you will join where you had marked your seam right here. you're going to join the side seam, and then you will join with the sleeve. I am going to do mine offline because off camera, because it's just the same thing. And then once we meet again, we will be working this part, the neck area. Okay, as we are done with all the seams, the next part that we are going to work is the neck area. And for this, we're going to make a slip knot like that, and then we insert this on one of the shoulder seams. So I'm going to insert mine right here. This is going to be our center of origin. And once you have that, you will make a chain and then follow that with a single crochet just in the same spot. Do a chain and a single crochet, and then we are going to go in this direction because I can see our stitches are more elaborate from the wrong side, so that is the direction that we're going to go. Now this is how we'll work. After you have your single crochet in, the next thing that you're going to do is a double crochet, and then work a single crochet, work a double crochet in the next row, and in the next row you work a single crochet. And as we are approaching the lower side of that neck area, the next part we are going to work is definitely a single crochet. And since now we are getting into this part that has elaborate stitches, you have to look very closely to see, like the lemon peel stitch has to make sense at this point. Since we have a single crochet right here, we will put in the same stitch a double crochet, so that when we are getting into these elaborate stitches, we go with the pattern. Where we have a double crochet, we do a single crochet, and where we have a single crochet, we do a double crochet as we work across. We are just continuing with the lemon peel stitch from the panel of the sweater, and we are working to extend that neck area part. So continue working until you get to this part, and then I'll meet you as we work the extended part of the cutout. Okay. So I'm coming towards the end of that part, and I just did a double crochet. The next stitch is going to be a single crochet, and now we will just dive right into this part where we'll place a double crochet in this very row right here. We will place a double crochet, and then the next part will have a single crochet, and the next one will have a double crochet, the next will have a single, and in between these right here it ought to have a stitch. We will try force in there a double crochet, and then cross over to the next part and do a single crochet. Once we have that single crochet in, we will proceed to the other side and do a double, then a single, then a double, then a single, and then a double. But since we need a single crochet on top of this stitch, don't hesitate to put 2 stitches in here just to regulate the pattern. So since we have now a single crochet, we are going to place, no, it was actually okay, you can delete that stitch. You have a double crochet. Since this is a double crochet, we will just dive in with a single crochet like that. And then now we can go to the part where the stitches are elaborate. That is either the front or the back panel of the sweater, and continue working the lemon peel. Okay, so the next stitch is going to be a double crochet, the next one is a single, the next is a double and a single, then a double, as we continue till we get to the end of the row. So I've come to the end of the row, and now I'm going upwards towards the other shoulder seam. So I just placed my single crochet, and the next stitch is going to get a double crochet. I go in with a single crochet, then a double crochet in the next, then do a single crochet, and the last stitch is going to be a double crochet as we complete the row, and then locate where we had done that first chain and do a slip stitch right there. So we just completed the first round, and now we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. Always turn your work, because we want that lemon peel stitch to be progressive. There shouldn't be a break between the sleeves and the neck area, or rather there shouldn't be a break from the panel to the neck area. So since we just chained and turned, at that very place do a single crochet, and then locate your very first stitch, which is a double crochet, and do a single crochet on top of it, and then continue doing the lemon peel stitch. Where there is a double crochet, place a single crochet, and where there is a single crochet, place a double crochet as you go around. So we're just going to go in with a lemon peel stitch around, because we already established the base, and now we're just going to build rows and rows of this until you are confident that this part is going to cover your neck properly. Always remember, when you are at the origin part, we are going to always turn our work. So I'm going to work all around until I'll get to meet you once I'm done with that round. I've just done my last stitch, which is a double crochet, so I'm going to slip stitch on top of that chain that we did when we were starting the row, and then chain 1, turn my work. Always turn your work, and then now we're going to go at the part where we just chain 1 and do a single crochet. This is acting as just our first stitch to put that seam in line. You see how it's aligning with the shoulder seam, and then we can locate the very first stitch, or rather the last stitch we did on the previous row, which in my case is a double crochet, and on top of that we're going to place a single crochet. As we continue, the next is a single crochet, we do a double crochet, and the next is a double crochet, we do a single crochet, like that, as I continue to do my lemon peel stitch. So I'm going to do this part off camera. You see it started to stem out. Like, this is the part we are going to work. It's going to be a bit lengthy like 10 inches or so. I will come back to tell you how many inches I did or how many rows I did, and as you work yours you can regulate where possible. I went ahead to work 20 rows on this part, and that gives me about 5 inches, which is enough. Don't work more inches on this part unless you want your sweater to be very bulky. So the next row that we're going to do is a row of just double crochets, and that will be it. So we'll chain 2 at this point, at the point of origin, and then go into the next stitch with a double crochet, and the next with a double crochet. This is acting as a finishing row, and also we'll use this row to insert the cord that usually put this part in shape. It is easy to insert the cord, or rather the chain, in between the double crochets than this part, because this double crochet has like profound holes, if I could say, so it's easy to navigate through them, and also it gives it a nice finish at the top here. So I'm going to work my double crochets, just 1 in each stitch until I get to this part. So once you are done, you will slip stitch on the first chain 2 and cut your chain 1 and cut your yarn. We are done with this part. The only thing remaining is we will put in our chain to hold the neck in place later on when we are done. So my sweater is roughly 18 inches. I want to remove 3 inches on both sides. 1, 2, 3 gives me at the mark of 15, and 1, 2, 3 at the mark of 3. So this is where I want my pocket to be. My pocket will be lying right here. So I remove 3 inches and 3 inches on both sides. So let me get the stitch markers and mark this part. So my pocket is going to be 12 inches long, and this is just by preference because I took away 3 inches on both sides. If your sweater is bigger, you can take away like 5 inches on both sides, or even 8 or less inches if you want your pocket to occupy this whole part. Yes, I did measure my chain, but just to ensure that everything is in place, you can place it on top of where you have marked off, like me, and ensure that it's fitting correctly. Okay, so I chained a total of 48 plus 1. That 1 is just our turning chain. So we go to the next, that is the second chain, and do a single crochet, and go in the next chain and do a double crochet. Remember, we are working with the lemon peel stitch. Go into the next stitch and do a single crochet, and in the next with a double crochet. You will work this until you get to the end of our chain. So I have worked a total of 14 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I had said that I'll work 12, but I needed to ensure that if I put my phone in my pocket, it sits well. So as you can see here, I've just added 1 more row, which is not bad at all. So we are going to be decreasing from the next row going forward. So we are going to chain 1, and then you insert your hook in this first stitch, pull up a loop, insert in the next, pull up a loop. You have 3 on your hook like that, and then pull a loop through them all. We have worked 2 stitches together to reduce, and then you're going to go into the next stitch, which is going to be a single crochet because we have a double crochet on the previous row. And then you continue working your lemon peel stitch as you normally would until you get to the end of the row. So we are reducing, and we'll also reduce at the end of this row. So when we are left with 3 stitches, that is where we will reduce and work the last stitch together. So as you can see here, I'm left with 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go into the next stitch and pull up a loop, and then go into the next one and pull up a loop. I have 3 on my hook, and then pull a loop through them all like that, and then look for the very last stitch and place a double crochet right there. So we have reduced at this part at the end of the row and also at the beginning of the row. Also on the next row, we are going to do the same thing. You will chain 1, turn your work, and then reduce. So you will insert in the very first stitch, and the next stitch, the stitch where you reduced, you have 3 on your hook, yarn over and pull a loop through them all like that, and then you go to the next stitch, which is a single crochet, and do a double crochet and work normal lemon peel where we are doing a single crochet on top of the double crochet and a double crochet on top of the single crochet until we get to the end of the row, just minus 3 stitches where we will reduce on the first 2 and then work the last stitch as normal. So as you can see, we are left with 1, 2, 3 stitches. So I'm going to go into the next stitch and pull up a loop, into the next one, pull up a loop. You have 3 on your hook and pull a loop through the 3, and then you will work that double crochet at the end of the row, chain 1, turn your work. And now we are also going to reduce at this point where we insert our hook in that very first stitch, pull up a loop, insert a hook in the very next stitch, pull up a loop. You have 3 on your hook, pull through them all like that, and then we will continue with the lemon peel stitch where we are just placing a single crochet on top of a double crochet and a double crochet on top of a single crochet until we get to the end of the row. So we will be reducing at these 2 points, at the beginning and at the end of each and every row, and then once you attain your desired length on this part, you will be done with the pocket part. The only part that will be remaining is how to attach it on the front panel. What I've done is for these two rows before you complete the last one, I did not reduce at the end. I only reduced at the beginning. So for 2 rows, I only reduced at the beginning and not at the end, so that my work can go like this and not, you see, at this point it was going continuously in, but it gets to a point where it's going sort of straight. And then for the last row, I did not reduce at all. I just worked a row of lemon peel stitch without reducing. So at this point, we are going to clean off the edges, and I'm going to go in with a single crochet all around my piece until I get to this point. So once you're done with the cleaning off, this next part is the most exciting part of this sweater. We're going to be using this darning needle to attach the pocket to the sweater itself. So as you can see, I have threaded in the yarn in the needle, and now I am just using that to attach it to the sweater using these stitches as I am demonstrating in this video. So we're going to go downwards and then across, and then we'll go upwards. Then we'll cut our yarn and attach at the top of the pocket. So the thing about working on this part is you need to ensure that your stitches are on a straight line. So when you're stitching, just try hard to follow that very line so that your pocket doesn't look crooked. It ought to be very, very straight and aesthetically pleasing. I went ahead to complete my pocket, and I am very pleased with how it looks. It's definitely very straight and very in place. I'm going to get rid of all the stitch markers and weave in all the hanging threads. And just before we go, we have one thing to do. I did this long cord, just a chain, and I combined three strands of my yarn to give me the thickness that I desire. And then I used a darning needle. To weave it in, where I'm going in and out of those stitches, the double crochets that we did on top there, to give me a nice finish and to hold that part in place. So there I go. I'm gonna finish this part, and once I'm done, I'm going to do a knot at the end so that my chain does not unravel. So I will do this on both, and let me tie a knot over here and put it on a mannequin and show you how it definitely looks like. So at this point we are done, completely done. Thank you so much for watching. This is how the sweater looks like on a mannequin. I will try model it, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, please do. I will be sharing more photos going forward on my Instagram and Facebook, even TikTok. My handle is Marion Crochets. I want to thank you for tuning in and for subscribing to this channel. Thank you so much for your support, and I'm definitely going to see you in my next video. My name is Marion, and as always, I'm very pleased to have you here. Goodbye and God bless you.